move the initiative based on the very important in very close with the mission, and then put the highest priority on the top of the list.
Okay. The parts of the okay. All right. Let's see if we can get some more list now based on the primary initiatives for result.
Maybe first I would like to check the activity and make sure that each initiative is what is that? Like everything that we should pending, maybe just like I don't know. That's so many, but I think content chapter is uh, uh, many people also. So actually, I don't have any insight on that. Sir. I
Okay.
haven't any insight.
Let's go over to Ara. Ara, what do you see?
I think so, sir. I mean, like, if you want to ask me and Lilith, I think it's a little bit outside the context because we never like joined the meeting. So we need to take a look first on the activities that is like specific on the activities.
Okay, got it. What about the top level? Let's say we're prioritizing. What should we check at top level right now?
In the theme or what, sir?
Yes, in the theme of like looking. Well, Rizal wants to prioritize. He's thinking about how to lead the chapter. So we're sort of guiding this prioritization thought process. And do you see anything right now that would, let's say, be I don't know, unusual?
Specifically about leading, right, sir? I think I don't know if this is like a right comments or feedbacks, but if we're talking about improving leading, then again it has then there has to be an initiatives about involving one another in the chapters. So
Interesting. Okay, got it.
that's like has been my advice to Tandy, for example, to improve the leaderships. Like it can be in many ways. It can be from casual ways. Like I heard that HAR now have these meetings to like casually talks to one another. Or another things that Tandy did is that having initiatives that is open to the each team of the chapter. So like it's like having engagement with personally one each team member. So for example, I have sort of A, B, C. So A, I'm doing with Gani. B, I'm doing with results. I'm doing with Aldo and so on. So that type of engagement on doing initiatives, not just like casual, that's also needed. So that's like in general, but I don't know if that's already applied in content.
Very good. Okay, that's actually a pretty good idea. So what we have is here. That suggestion currently is being developed on each person's leadership card. So everybody who's going through this leadership development program right now has a card. And let's see, do we have a card for Rizal yet? Rizal actually does. Oh my God, Rizal does not have a card yet. Rizal doesn't even have a list yet, actually. So Rizal, all right.
There is Rizal.
Where is he?
Beside me.
Oh, there he is. Okay, all right, there he is. He's on project management. Okay, all right. So project management is slightly different from chapter lead, and I think we need to create perhaps a new card for Rizal on chapter lead. We have not created one for Gani. Have we created one for Gani yet? No, surprisingly. Okay, there was no card created for Gani's because Gani was coming into this discussion on top of mentorship, which was okay. All right. So let's go over this idea then. All right. If we do have, let's say, a leadership development, I would like that to be separated from the chapter, right? So leadership development is its own, and then chapter sort of primary initiatives is what happens in the foreground. Leadership development happens in the background. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a good idea. Rizal, I will encourage you to pop a new card and track your journey as a chapter lead, right? And so I've created these cards for you guys before, but this time think about what your intended outcome is and think about like what you would actually like to achieve. Can I delegate that to you, Rizal?
Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so then essentially what we can do, okay, so let's put that down, delegate to Rizal, make a new card, to make a new card. I think that's a good idea to improve engagement. Well, actually, let me go back to Rizal real quick. Do you believe that that's actually important as a chapter lead to is what Ara said relevant to the context of what's happening in marketing now?
Yeah, I think sometimes I don't know, like when I do agree with Ara's statement about engaging card. Need to be more organized. So basically, I still think that our member is it's not very aligned with the it's not helping others. So basically, it's not very supporting. But I still see that they still working in their own way. So basically, like that, and on marketing chapter, sir.
Ah, okay, all right. That is good. That goes back to prioritization now. Now, as a chapter lead, what do you think are the highest priorities like that you need to work on? Which is a little bit different from a project manager or from an individual contributor over to Rizal.
Sorry, sir. What's the question?
Okay, so what do you believe are the highest priorities for a chapter lead?
Mm, I think on the wait, problem solving.
Okay, problem solving. Okay,
Yeah, and also on the um, yeah, prioritization, sir.
okay, prioritization. What kind of prioritization?
Yeah, just like that, just like um, what is the best apa namanya action that can supporting the other member but also align with the mission.
Okay, and align with mission. Okay. Okay, all right. All right, let's do this. Let's go into the details then, yeah, and see what we can fix. So jumping right in, I'll show you a few things, Rizal, that I see are actually should be prioritized, that I believe should be prioritized. And this is going back to the initiatives. So remember, as a chapter lead, you're not so much working on inside here, inside each card, you're working really on the top levels. So my eyeballs immediately go here. As a chapter lead, I think you have to actually understand what the mission of the chapter is. And the first thing I see that is a little bit dangerous is that the mission of the chapter is not on the Trello board at all, right? So let's go back and ask ourselves, Rizal, what is the mission of this chapter? What is this chapter attempting to do?
The first mission is acquiring properties all over the world, and another mission is discover the best properties in the world.
Excellent. So we need to discover and acquire. Okay, this is written right now on the initiative, but we also agreed that that was confusing, right? To actually put that particular thing inside the same, the same. The initiative should not be the same as the mission of the chapter, right? The initiative supports the mission of the chapter. Okay, so very first thing I think as a chapter lead, you have to see that there's something not quite right, right? Why is these initiatives not the same as these initiatives here? That already is a communication breakdown, right? People will get confused because they don't see and don't know what they're working on. So I think the very first thing is to separate it, right? To create clarity. And then the second thing, like right now, we don't have alignment between initiative B here and list B here, right? We don't have alignment between initiative A here and list A here. And same with, I think we have C and we have D, but those are not quite there. Okay, after you have that, then I think the second thing is to prioritize the list. So you have paid marketing, you have converting audience to buyers, you have raising awareness, finding product market fit. Your mission is then to ask, what is the work that we're going to do to get us to our goal in the most meaningful way? So what's going to get us to acquiring a property? What's going to help us discovering the best properties? And that needs to move in a sequence, maybe over to the left, to make it more clear. And then once again, once you have that, then this next thing is, I think you can delegate to whoever. See, this is the other issue. There are no delegates for each initiative right now. So it's not clear who is supposed to be championing each initiative. Yes, there are people championing a pivot, but you need to have some sort of sub-leadership structure to create order. So you need to get your champions around each initiative, and then those people can then order the pivot cards according to what they believe are the most highest priority. This structure, if works well, will give you, I think, a much finer control of leadership, and that goes back to what I think a leader is doing. That is the greatest problem to solve. The greatest problem is, how can you get everyone to work together in an engaging way where people can support each other, help each other out, right? But even right now, it would be kind of hard for them to do so. Okay, all right. So that is basically looking at Trello and sort of diagnosing where the leadership potential issues can be. Lilith, what do you see? Do you see anything else after we've uncovered that?
I still haven't, sir.
Okay, got it. Let's go over to Ara. Do you see anything else?
For the problems of alignment itself, sir, or like.
Oh, like, would you have any comments on the way that the Trello board is set up, right, for results? If he's chapter lead, he needs to have, I think, the clear structure for how his.
For me, as correct me if I'm wrong, this is like marketing have their own structure, right, to have the meeting itself. So maybe from the simplest one, I'm not saying that this is the most right one or the other chapter is right one. I think that structure that is different needs to be reviewed again, whether this is like most effective, or get back to the other type of structure, like like it's each person and everything. Because at some point, if I look at it, like if in HR, the advantage of having like per people stack, we take the responsibility of the project, and then we actually have people on member joining the cards, right? So, and that's very visible on who leading the projects and then who is involved in the project. In this one, it's more on each initiative, right? So I would say the field of actually having the project itself, the togetherness, I would say like people stacks would be not effective, but more on like higher, what is it, fields, I guess. So I don't know, maybe my suggestions, we need to see which one is more effective, like having like pro and cons, maybe like having this one is what is the pro and cons, having like the other chapter of pro and cons. So that's my suggestion.
All right, thank you, Ara, for that suggestion. I've heard that a few times also in terms of compatibility issues with other chapters and being having a little bit of a harder time seeing what's happening. Okay, let's agree on some terms then. Rizal, my first suggestion is one. I think the cards up here need to at least fluently translate into how the initiatives are being done over here, right? So these simply mean, I think it's just as simple as copying this over to the cards, right? Like paid marketing is on initiative A. Like this one, right? Well, actually, I shouldn't do it for you, because if I do it for you, it loses the learning opportunity. And then second, I think, is who is going to champion each particular initiative. That's the second thing. And then fourth thing is, yeah, structure. If the structure right now is actually clearer, if this is working correctly, which means that the structure is creating alignment on the initiatives, well, then we shouldn't be having this issue of people are not helping each other, right? It should be actually people are helping each other more. then people are helping each other less. So if people are not helping each other, could it be that the structure is not making it clear, or we're not fully utilizing the full benefit of the structure? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is back on mentorship. And thank you, Gani, for joining. Let's take a look and see what we've been doing for other mentorship cases. So let's travel over to revenue management. All right, on revenue management, we have Frida, and let's go ahead and take a look and see about Frida's activities and hear the update. So Lewis, tell us a little bit more on Frida's update.
Uh, okay, sir. So, as a suggestion yesterday, I tried to make this card as a template for revenue management. When we want to onboard a new intern, then we would like to use this template as a uh, card for understanding the revenue management workflow and knowledge. And for this card, actually, see add more one more checklist for the hospitality glossary, and that's all the update for the first card, actually, sir.
Okay, fantastic. So when we go through these checklists, are there specific tasks that are required to check these off, or is it how does the candidate know that they've actually understood and they can pass each milestone?
Hmm. Okay, so actually we have a requirement for pairing.
Mhm.
Uh, for example, like the pricing a property. The one that is should be paired is me, and Rita set a meeting with me to know more, or like, for example, like she has a question, so we discuss there about the pricing. Uh, that's also for the other topics. We also involve PD here for so we have like each topic to be discussed
Okay,
with Frida.
that sounds actually really good. Let me go over here because this reminds me of something. Let's go over to human resource real quick. There's actually a card over on this side that we were working on for a while. I haven't had a chance to actually connect it, but I think now I do. Okay, this is part of the masterclass. Let's see if we can get that in and then connect the cards. Okay, relate cards. All right. All right. This is what Bayu was asking for. So we wanted to create a checklist to make sure that each person was passing through the onboard trials, and this is the 20 topics that are relevant, at least in the case of revenue management. Yes, over to Ara.
Question to Lilis actually. Does this already attach to the onboarding materials for revenue management?
Sorry.
Does this materials already attach to the
Oh,
onboarding?
actually, the checklist is based on the RM onboarding program.
Yeah,
That
it's already attached already.
yeah,
Okay,
all of them from here.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, Lilis. Okay, so that's, I guess, on Lilis's side, that's an update on your card. So we have one takeaway. Let's see if Lilis is here. Where is Lilis? Ah, here she is. All right. So Lilis's mentorship development program. Observe. Okay. Zone of proximal development and control the time budget. Ah, very good. Okay. Lilis, I've gone onto your leadership card and you've talked about zone of proximal development and also control the time budget. Tell me more about that.
Yes, so basically, I attached this image because our last, what is that? Last discussion, right? So I'll try. Maybe you observe me having much time to, what is that, to work with Frida, but actually just like only if Frida has question, then we have pairing. But the important here is, yeah, for example, like, see, Frida has the new card for now, the Traveloka itself. So I give her like more time to develop herself rather than directing more.
Mhm.
So that's the takeaway from the what is that, the zone of proximal development.
Excellent. Zone of proximal development is good. And tell me a little bit more about, okay, let's see. Ara, what do you know about the zone of proximal development?
I think this is the first time I hear it.
Okay. All right. So let's go over to Gani. Gani, what do you know about zone of proximal development and how does it relate to mentorship?
Okay, zone of proximal development. I think on the yellow area. Uh, I forget actually, but yes, but I understand that the smaller area is which means the the new person is can can do without assistance. So there is a smaller thing that they can do, but as we can give the assistant guidance and then the new person can do the wider area.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And when we actually apply this to the people that we're mentoring, where do you see opportunities to apply this idea to people that we're mentoring? What sort of actionable thing can we do to take this into account?
Example, I think when we uh, giving the guidance and coaching, sir.
Okay.
So the area get the wider, so the new person more understand and more able to do more.
Let's go back to Lilith. Lilith, you mentioned on your card when you're giving guidance and coaching, you budget a time to mentor people. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, actually, I try to identify like from her Frida's card which one is in the dark green, which one in the green. That's blue. Sorry, dark blue and also yellow. So from that identification, I able to gives Frida insights that I have like 30 minutes to 1 hour time for pairing. So please prioritize which one that you need to ask, or I mean you need a friend to discuss. So just like uh well, from I'm seeing, for example, like from the Traveloka card, I see that she can develop the card by herself. So I will classify it as a yellow zone, for example. So
Excellent.
maybe that's it.
All right. Please update the card actually about your findings. That's great. Just go ahead and put that onto this card, and we'll be able to see that. So what Lewis has said is actually really clever, I think, because essentially, if you don't understand zone of proximal development, then you don't set a budget of time for each intern. You could find yourself in a very frustrating situation. So the thing about interns that I found is really important is this: you need to set a due date. Generally, if you don't know the ZPD of a person, set a shorter due date, like 2 days or 1 day, nothing too long. If you set a due date that's very long, what will happen is that your intern will just spin around and you don't know exactly where they are, right? You might think they're in the yellow, but they're actually in the dark green area. And you won't know that until you come back to monitor. So I think the biggest takeaway is, yes, what Lil's just said, set that time budget, try to understand what they understand, and take more frequent monitoring steps in the beginning. If you monitor infrequently, then most likely you will probably not be as successful as you monitor more frequently in the initial steps. The same goes with if you're a chapter lead. If you're a chapter lead in the very beginning, you should monitor your team fairly closely so that you know exactly what they're capable of and what is a challenge. For example, when we start creating new cards, when we start imagining new ideas, is this actually in their yellow zone or is this in their dark green zone? You as a lead probably won't know until you start getting feedback back from what your members can do. If they always get stuck on their cards, they're probably somewhere in the light green, dark green area, right? But if they are smoothly processing and they're getting a lot of progress, they're probably in the yellow area. How are you going to know? Lilith, I think, found out by doing some investigation, but that kind of investigation, that kind of engagement result is what actually makes you a better leader and allows you to prioritize, okay? If you don't know where your team is in this graph, then you can't prioritize. You can't give them something to do because you don't know how long they're going to take to actually be able to finish it. Okay. All right. Good takeaway then. Thank you very much, Lilith. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's see if there's any other cards on Lilith's stack or Frida's stack. Okay. This one I don't think actually has a due date, right? This is the webinar with the data science students. Okay, so we probably should set a due date on that. And since I delegated this, who should set the due date on this?
I think you, sir.
Yes, excellent. All right, I'll set a due date to the 31st then. So I'm setting a due date because essentially I'm giving these, it's actually more complex now because there's a few people working on it. There's Lilith, I think there's Vidi, and then there's Kiki. They're all working on it. So in this particular regard, I might actually set a due date a little bit shorter. Let's say by this Friday, right? The reason why I'm going to set it shorter is because there's more complexity if we add more people into a particular project. So if you actually set a very long due date, what you do as a leader is that you expend lots of resources, lots of time, lots of energy thinking about it, not coordinating. So you want to set a shorter due date so that you can determine, is this actually a project that these people are capable of, or is it that they're actually not really capable of? And you can get that answer sooner rather than later, right? So that is a pivot in my decision-making process. I probably might even set the due date to Wednesday, even shorter, because this project has been going on for a while now, and we need to reach a conclusion. We need to reach, are we going to continue this, or do we postpone it, or do we pivot from it, right? Don't be afraid to set shorter due dates for projects. That's actually better, because at some point, it forces you to make a decision. Do you stop, do you pivot, or do you continue? Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and set that, and it has a new due date 2 days from now. And on Wednesday, we can take a look at this, and we can ask ourselves a question, how's progress? Do we pivot, continue, or abandon? And if your chapter lead result, this is one of your most important prioritization questions, which is, how are you using the energy and the resources in your chapter? Are you using it to just kind of hang on projects that just sort of float there? Are you actually making progress? Okay. And sometimes progress means we are dropping projects that don't work too. Okay, great. Let's take a look at the next set of cards. This will be from Ara. Okay, Ara, Alethea, I believe, is your intern. Let's take a look and run down some of your cards. So this is your global networking with professors and entrepreneurship and emerging economies. Okay, over to you, Ara. What do you see?
One is Kiki. Oh wait. Oh, yeah. So in HR, usually for each topics or initiatives, I delegated to like each person. For example, for UR, for Alethea's development in the terms of UR will be in charge with Kiki. So Kiki have like updates on the activities on what they've been doing. So like that. So other than that, that's not in the card for Alethea's development. I would say it's more on the Dropbox paper, sir.
Okay.
It's actually accessible here. Well, let me open it for you guys.
Is it this one?
No, I mean like in general for Alethea development.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So her overall progress, right?
Yes.
I would do this perhaps, actually. So this is a leadership development board, and I'd like to invite Ara to it. I think you're already here. Would it be possible, let's say in the future, for you to take a Trello card and give it to a person and just say, here you go. Here is essentially everything you need to know about in order to become great at doing university relations.
Okay, sure, yes.
Okay, so what I'm thinking of spawning here is essentially a card for each particular role. So right now we have a race. We have a few people racing to become mentors. Whoever is more successful at mentorship will take their card, and then that becomes the template for future mentors, right? And we have a few going on for project managers as well. Whoever is the most successful, then that becomes a template. But I think the same can be applied actually for anything that people do. University relations, HR, the CEO, whatever. We just keep track of our leadership progress on each card. Okay, let's go quickly to Lilith real quick. Lilith, what kind of feedback would you give to Ara based on what you see on this Trello card for this type of delegation?
What is that? Maybe due date?
Ah, yes. Okay, there should be a due date. Fantastic. All right. Anything else do you see, Lilith?
It doesn't. Members.
Yes, very good. All right, members and the due date. Yes, these are details, I believe, but these are actually leadership details, right? So if we as leaders don't create the correct communication or the correct structure, then it is easier for people working on these to get lost. So I think yes, we should put the comment here. Okay, so Alethea, please tag yourself on the card, right? And put a due date to this activity. Okay, this is actually pretty good. So by delegating the due date to the intern, we can actually see and give them an opportunity to coach, right? If we set a due date for them, then they're probably not aware of why this is happening, but this is an evolution. So we ask them to pick a due date, and then we can review it and say, hey, look, your ZPD shows that maybe you should set a shorter due date, and that would actually work a little bit better. Okay, all right, let's take a look at another one of Ara's cards. This is actually something that, let's see, this is something that's good. All right, employee engagement survey. All right, over to you for comments.
For this one, so yeah, maybe this is feedback for myself because I'm still also finding out the correct structure on how to exactly leading. So on this one, usually I have meetings to with Olivia to discuss on its progress. So yeah, basically what I need to attach in this card is the activities of the pairing itself and the outcome of the sessions.
Excellent.
So, like for example, I have first session with Olivia to discuss about the topics on what exactly. So that like first topics, right? Oh, it's about motivations, and then we break down on what motivation, and then after she's already like can apply the theory and the topics to what can be relevant to the company. Usually she'll get back to me by sending the paper or just like tell me, Ara, I've finished this check, and I open the paper, and then if that's done, then okay. And then if there's other discussion, then Olivia will book another things to discuss with me. For example, like the other day we have like 2 until 3 meetings to this. So second pairing is about finding out another topic, for example, after motivation and events or some other things. So that's I think the feedbacks for these things. So next time in the future, if I already break down and tell write in the cards that what is the first session about, second session about. So maybe the future person can it's visible on what we did previously about the ESS and everything. So yeah.
Excellent. That's terrific. All right. So the more well documented it is, the more easy it is to reuse in the future. So let's say, for example, Alethea's internship is over and you want somebody to succeed her work, then it's not just, okay, they see the end product, but they see actually how this end product was built, and then you can rebuild it themselves. Very valuable. Okay, that's pretty much it. So the current structure of leadership development is we talk a little bit about the theory, and then we talk a little bit about how each delegate is doing, how your delegates are doing, the people that you're interning, you're mentoring are doing, or the people that you're leading are doing. And I think that is ultimately the sort of the structure of how we discuss leadership development here. I need some feedback from you guys. So given what you've learned today, do you have any ideas for improvement in making this discussion, this group, more valuable for your progression as a leader? I'll start with Ara. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong to everybody else. I think it's pretty hard, sir, if you ask feedback for example, Lilis or Rizal, take a look at this card of what is Ara or Lydia doing, because they don't exactly knows the context. So I would say if you want to have it like feedback like that, maybe it is good to like have fixed person and ask them to, okay, everyone in the room that we're going to have a meeting in 1 hour. So for Lilis, Rizal, Gani, and Ara, please read this each other card. So then they can get the context and read first on what are the activities, what are the initiatives. So then the feedback they will deliver can be more relevant and aligned with what is the discussion about.
Okay, very good idea. Let's go over to Rizal. Rizal, you were nodding your head. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, basically, I agree with Arab because we, if we ask for feedback suddenly, it's like we don't know what's the details of the each card. So basically, we need to read more. We need to read the paper, read the comments, and so we can give the feedback later.
Time to adjust. Okay, all right. Let's go over to Lilith. Lilith, do you agree with what Rizal and Ara have said so far?
Mm, yeah, yeah, I agree, but I mean, I'm not sure that can we give heads up or not, but maybe more to be more structured. We have today we will end the session, and then maybe you have target for which card that we would like to evaluate next.
Ah,
So yeah, it's just like start from for example, next meeting we would like to examine example has been started and just have a look like that. So,
okay. All right. Interesting. All right. Gunny, your side.
Okay, to be honest, since last week, I'm not really get in this board because yesterday I still observed and we discovered that the release template card is most structured and most understandable. So okay, so I see that how release create the card and after that I don't know what I have to do if should I make a card like Lily's too, but I'm not have apa namanya internship the the Hasbi have partner have somebody with Aldo, right, but I'm not with anybody, so I'm a little bit conscious what things that I need to update on the card. So
Okay,
so yeah,
got it.
that's it.
Thank you for this feedback, and I'm going to actually refine sort of the thought process a little bit. Let's ask ourselves this question: if our communication is very clear, how long would it take for us to understand things? Let's go over to Ara.
Mm, if everything is detailed and documented, might be few minutes.
Mhm.
But I mean, just to be effective and efficient to save up everybody's time. So some people, and I think, sir, even though it's like clear, some people have different level of understanding, right? Like
Mm.
I can read like one screen, but maybe Lilis need twice and
Right.
Riza need 3 times. So it's not just about how well it's documented and detailed, but also like the level of understanding of people.
Okay, got it. All right, so good point there. Here, I'll offer a suggestion and I'll offer a contrasting viewpoint. Yeah. So, oh, also, one more thing. Diversity of viewpoints is actually a good thing in a startup. We don't want everyone just all thinking the same direction. We kind of want to get a lot of different ideas. My thought process is this. If, let's say, most of what I brought up today, I think are obvious issues, right? Like, let's say, for example, the alignment between initiative cards and initiative lists, that should be, that should be set. I understand that Lilith and Ara have not seen these lists before, so this is kind of like a first pass. So what I'm detecting is these things are essentially, like, let's say, obvious communication improvements. Let's say over on HR side, not tagging, not setting due dates. These are just like, you look at it, you spot it, and you can kind of see it immediately. We're not drilling down into, let's say, very deeply yet. We're not even drilling down into, like, are we getting a regular progress, or is the monitoring happening? We're just talking about, like, setting a due date, tagging a person on the card. So for this part, I think this can be spot checked by any leader, right? And that is, I think, a responsibility for the leader to be able to, like, just look and see, hey, there's a problem here. I don't know why there's a problem, but I feel like there's something not quite right. But getting that intuition there is extremely important. Okay, just for, let's say, referencing, let's do this. We have another mentorship meeting on Wednesday, so let's be ready for this, right? So let's see, who are the mentors right now? It's you, Ara, Lilith. Who's mentoring? Has to be
Aldo.
Aldo, sir.
Aldo. Okay, Aldo. And okay, so on the Wednesday meeting, let's take a look at any of the cards, right? So any of your cards can be just, let's say, cold called and taking a look at. It's more for you as a mentor to sort of just make sure that your sort of progress on the interns cards are up to date, and we're creating a culture of what that means right now, and we'll take a look at it, right? We're not going to go too deeply into each person's card specifically. It's more just like, are we using, let's say, the correct situational leadership style? Are we understanding zone and proximal development? Are we creating the correct written documentation culture? That's pretty much it, right? And I think, let's just say, after we get past that level, then we can go a little bit deeper into, mentorship progress and such. Okay? All right. Good talk. Any other feedback? Oh, well, we've run out of time, actually. So thank you, everybody, for coming in for the mentorship development program this morning, and I wish you guys a great week ahead. Okay? See you.
See you.
All right.